Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Post-Raw number 168. We are live in the first Raw of 2024 and the first Wrestleview show of 2024 as well. I am joined by the estimable Roy Nemer. How are you, sir?
Oh, after that introduction, that's a good one. I'm doing very well. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Mike, and everybody. Glad to be here. 2024, we made it, and we made it in a good way, in a very easy way, through a very good episode of Raw Day 1. Yeah.
So, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack, because it's like, I used to do all the post-Raws when it was really bad, and now Raw is fantastic, and I love it. I enjoy recapping it every week. I actually sometimes I think about it, like if it's like Monday, I'm just like, Monday. But then I'm like, I get to recap Raw tonight. I'm actually like, it's something that actually gets me through my day sometimes. That's how much I'm enjoying Raw. And of course, I barely do any post Raws anymore. I think the last one was Raw after WrestleMania. So I'm sure a lot of people are saying, like, oh, now it's good. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. I do. I really seriously do. It's just so hard with 2 kids. And we have another one on the way. Another girl too.
You're a girl dad, a certified girl dad. And I mean that in a good way, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. No, I'm very happy. I am very, very happy. I'm not trying to convince anybody of that. I swear to God, I'm like thrilled to death that I'm having a third girl. But it's like impossible to get Victoria. I mean, it's like I can do a show by myself every now and then, but and I can bother Roy to do a show every now and then, but
no bother.
It's tough. It's tough when you have the little kiddos. So as I'm sure Roy will find out one day as well. But
one day, hopefully.
Not too soon.
Hopefully.
Yes.
But we are not alone. We do have a big hello to Andrew and Daniel as well for joining us. Names are starting to pop in.
Michelle, Happy New Year. Wow, my goodness. My friends. All right. So, this regime change really started again in, I think, around like September-ish. No, really, I think Vince got kind of knocked out in October, right?
Officially, yeah.
Officially knocked out.
But we had some of this back in like SummerSlam last year.
Yes.
When it was started, and we saw some of that change. But yeah, officially, it's been about
yes.
September.
Well, he was out. Vince was out July 2022. The very first show that was Vince-less was that. I think I remember the date. It was like July 25th. I think it was the day before my wedding anniversary at Madison Square Garden. I was like, oh my God, it's a brand new WWE. This is great. And he was gone for like 9 months. And then like the worst delivery ever. He comes back the day after WrestleMania and ruins everything that Triple H did. Horrible storytelling once again. Oh, I'm going to sell to Endeavor and they're going to let me do whatever I want. Well, it actually turns out that Endeavor goes to see Vince, running the show and like saw him the day after WrestleMania, like running this horrible show. They're like, I think they realized we can't have this crazy man who dresses like Gomez Adams doing anything. Like this guy had it red hot, and now people are complaining about it online when he has it. So they push him out, and it's been great ever since. Once again, like the storyline, the storytelling is making sense. Under Vince, you're getting the same people on Raw every week. I mean, look, there's a lot of criticism with Triple H early on, like when he first took back over, with some iteration of the Judgment Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn or Seth Rollins, and there was like some iteration of that from like the summer, which Vince was in charge of then, to the fall. But at that point, you have to finish it off. He finished it off at Survivor Series, and we haven't seen that since. And the Judgment Day's kind of taken a little bit of a back seat. But because the storytelling was so bad on Vince shows, you had to dump all of your stars out on the show every week because there's nothing interesting at all. Otherwise, there's nothing built. There was no good. This show tonight, granted, it was really bolstered by, teasing that there's going to be a former WWE champion on the show, but it didn't have CM Punk. It didn't have Cody Rhodes wrestling. They held off on Rhodes and Nakamura on this show. There's no Gunther. Like, these are like big names that were held off because you know what? We had enough. I love the restraint that Triple H shows as a booker. How about that? That's my favorite thing. We get less stars. I love it.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Which is because you would think it's the opposite. You need the stars, but they have such like the talent pool that they have is massive, and it's more than enough with Raw and SmackDown. At times you throw in NXT, but one of the things that I've really enjoyed with Triple H, and we continue to see this, it's not necessarily just the booking, but it's also the presentation. I mean, you tweeted about it, or you X'd about it, whatever it's called these days, but you posted about it. Let's put it that way.
I did.
At the start of the show.
Maybe I did.
Yeah. Well, you did. At the start of the show, you had Wade Barrett and Michael Cole in the middle of the ring, and they ran through the card. And some of the things that they've been doing as well, that Triple H has been doing, is they've been announcing stuff ahead of time. Like, oh, next week we're gonna have that. In 2 weeks' time, we're gonna have that. And we saw some of that tonight with Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura, where it's like, hey, you're gonna get your match, Cody. You're not gonna get it tonight. It's gonna be next week. So everything combined, just the overall presentation has been night and day. It's just so fun to watch. And,
absolutely,
100%. We spoke about this at Survivor Series. We said, when was the last time we were in the fall, November, December, January, looking forward to the Rumble and saying, like, holy crap, I actually want to watch Raw or SmackDown. Like, this is intense.
I know. No. And you know, and usually December's like phone it in month. Like, there was nothing phoned in about any of the shows in December. In fact, I thought they were some of the. I thought the last Raw of the year was one of the best Raws of the year because of how well they built everything up. And that was just tag matches. You know, like the tag titles were on the line. You know, in the main event. But I thought, damn, this show was just so well put together because they held off even then on like things. You know. Not paying off on certain things, and you know, we'll give you this, but we're going to hold back on that, and it doesn't even piss the fans off. But the important thing I think that you mentioned is that they're promoting things ahead of time. But something that would happen under Vince, even if they would promote something, this would happen all the time. You know, I mean, like especially like remember back in the days when they would, you know, have Raw, and then the next day they would tape SmackDown for like Thursday or Friday, whenever it was airing. And they would say, oh, this week on SmackDown, you're going to see this. And all they have to do is just get to the taping the next day and tape that match. But by the time they actually started taping the show, that script had changed 15 times. So they're promoting something that they don't pay off on. And that would happen on Raw as well. Like, oh, next week you're going to see this match. And then it's like, well, I guess that ain't happening.
Yeah.
The important thing is that they follow through with it. They're actually promoting something and then giving it to you.
Yeah. And
that's new.
that is new. And what's new as well to a certain degree is they are using social media to their advantage. And this whole announcement, let's say Triple H and the returning champion, this was announced 2-3 days ago now, and it built up speculation. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be The Rock? Is it going to be Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné, whatever she calls herself these days? Is it going to be someone else? We didn't know, but we got to the show and Michael Cole said it. We're going to have a returning champion tonight. And it's fun to watch. We're not getting lied to, right? Like, it's not like you said, Mike, someone's going to show up. We're going to have a certain match and then that doesn't happen, right? We're not getting that. And we're getting some of the best television that Raw has seen in, dare I say, a decade or so.
At least, I mean, this is absolutely the best run of shows that I've seen since I took over recapping Raw, and I took over recapping Raw 10 years ago. This year, I think it's like I think my anniversary is like mid-April or whatever. 10 years of recapping 3-hour Raws. Can you believe it? It's crazy.
I don't know how you're enjoying it. Now you're enjoying it. Now it's fun. Now it's a breeze. It was literally 9:45. I looked at the clock and I said, "Wow, we still have just an hour left." Like, it flew by. It really did.
Yeah. It's crazy actually. When I put like a date on like, you know, how long I've been recapping Raw, I'm like, holy crap. And then before that I had a really robust SmackDown career. You know, it was like I think this is going to be my 17th year with Wrestleview this year.
I believe so. You started about 2006-ish or 2007?
Oh no, it was 2008.
8? Okay, so still 60.
I can't do math. apparently.
16 years,
16 years. 16 years.
Yeah.
Feels longer. It feels like 17. I don't know why.
It's all good.
What does 17 feel like? But anyway, this show, you know, I also love like the way that they use social media, where something leaked out and it was just like nobody had said anything about it, but then Triple H, he's like he really is like very, very good with social media. Some like people are like, oh, they're in talks with like apparently in talks with a big name, and he tweets out or X's out, whatever it is. Yeah. Not going to confirm or deny the rumors of a former WWE champion appearing at WWE Raw Day 1, but I will say to stay tuned. New Year's Day, 8 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. That set the whole world on fire. Like, who is it? Like, there was like from everybody from like Mercedes Moné to Goldberg,
Andrade.
Andrade. Everybody thought it was going to be Andrade. Actually, no Andrade tonight.
No, probably tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. Yeah.
Which
would be interesting to have him start on NXT.
Well, depending on how they do it or what they do it, I mean, he could just go on NXT and then show up on SmackDown or wherever they decide to to put him, and then whatever it is they do that. But still, going back to your point, I mean, we had so many people, right? Andrade, Goldberg, The Rock to a certain degree, Mercedes.
Definitely The Rock. I mean, but I mean, like there had been that rumor that there was potentially in the works. I think this is off the table now, but Steve Austin versus CM Punk was being tossed around for a little bit. That was a couple of weeks ago. As a potential actual WrestleMania match, but I think it's clear Punk's going for Rollins at WrestleMania for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's crystal clear. But yeah, no Punk tonight. On the show, I was stunned about. I thought at least
Punk.
No Punk. Nothing with I mean, other than like an in-ring promo, Cody Rhodes was there, but not other than that, no action between him and Nakamura. It's just let them wait. Just good stuff. Really, most of the Judgment Day wasn't there. It's like there's no Finn Balor. They threw Damian Priest out there at the end. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of restraint, a lot of booking restraint shown by Triple H, where Vince was like, we need to pop a rating, so let's just blow this match or storyline out.
So sometimes with your talent, less is more. They have 3 hours, and I'm being very honest, it did not feel like 3 hours for me.
No,
I wasn't recapping it, but you were.
Right. Tonight flew by. It was such an easy watch. It was such an easy watch. And that's the thing, we have 3 hours. There's a lot of time, to kill in a sense. So it's like, why not use more stars? But there's also 52 shows a year plus premium live events. You don't like there's something to not overexposing your stars and also giving them a rest. Like Gunther is going to disappear for a few weeks now because he has had a child, but I think that's great. Let him disappear for a few weeks and let that auxiliary storyline with his Imperium teammates build up, and then have him come back to something rather than just hanging around doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Yeah. Love it. I absolutely love it. But this tease from Triple H set the world ablaze, and I was convinced, and everybody.
We were guessing. We were all guessing in the Wrestleview chat.
I know. It was like we were talking. Excuse me, sorry. Still dealing with like this like post Christmas kind of like allergy sickness thing. I was actually convinced it was going to be Sasha Banks. Mercedes Moné. Yeah. I just was, it's like she plays everything so close to the vest, and I don't like her. I mean, I know you're a huge fan, Roy, but I am I'm not. I have to tell you. And I was like, this sounds like exactly the kind of thing that she would want leaking out an hour before Raw happens. That looks like Mercedes Moné is going to AEW. I was like, this is perfect. She's coming to Raw tonight. She'll be there. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I know it was heartbreaking for you, Roy. I was not upset. It actually was The Rock.
I was celebrating for 2 reasons. One, I was celebrating because it wasn't Sasha Banks, and two, I was celebrating because it was The Rock. And You know, they played it smart where they had Jinder come out and you saw the reaction from the crowd, and Michael Cole was even mentioning it. He's like, well, you know, these fans don't seem too happy to see Jinder Mahal back. So they were playing to that, and then I mean, it was out comes The Rock, and he had a lot to say, specifically that last line.
Oh my goodness. So this wasn't just like, you know, they kept saying and they didn't have to say like, you know, former WWE champion.
No.
You know, they hardly ever like lean into that with The Rock, right? It's always like the legend, you know, the greatest superstar ever, the people's champion. They rarely talk about how many titles he's won now, because it's just like, well, he's just a guy who shows up. Like, it was very deliberate in the way that they kept saying a former WWE champion returns.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting over the fact that he's been a champion in the past and that this isn't just a one-off. This is a return. They kept saying a return. You know, Samantha Irvin, when the segment started, goes, "It's time for a former WWE champion to return." And it turns out, you know, like they send out Jinder Mahal as like the fake, which was hilarious. He still his promo was a little rough, but it was clear that they were just like, we need something, so just go out there and just rip on America. And he was just trying to think of like as much stuff that he could do, you know, classic 1980s, you know, foreign heel hates America, you know, is classic. Yeah. And the best part was, you know, The Rock comes out. I mean, the place just goes crazy. There, you know, the WWE did a beautiful video to the Iron Sheik, but I mean, this guy was like personality plus. Every shoot interview, I mean, like shoot interviews were invented for somebody like the Iron Sheik. You know that, you know, like I think the only reason that like Rob Feinstein still has any type of clout other than selling like, you know, secondhand autographs at this point is because he produced the video of that trailer for the Iron Sheik, that insane trailer with him and his agent Eric Sims in that hotel room where they're calling drug dealers, and he's crying about how much he hates Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan's a son of a bitch. And there was no fitting tribute when the Iron Sheik passed away last year to his insane personality. And for whatever reason, The Rock was like, "I'm going out there tonight, Jinder Mahal, we're going to pay tribute to the Iron Sheik." And he did a great Sheik impression. "Oh, Rock Bubba, who is this no good dirty son of a bitch, jabroni bastard?" You know, it's like perfect. That Iron Sheik absolutely would have said something like that, as well as a couple of other things as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. Part of that was bleeped out.
The Howard Stern things were insane.
No, like him standing up and saying he's well endowed and put it mildly and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a funny little Iron Sheik story when I did meet him. I mean, funny, kind of sad looking back, but this was in Toronto in 2010. Buddy of mine went to go see him, and he's sitting down, and you know, Iron Sheik, how are you? Shake his hand. I turned around, I sit down, I look to my left, he's passed out. His agent, within a split second of me shaking his hand, turning around, sitting down, he was completely passed out. His agent had to kind of wake him up and spoke to him for a couple of seconds, took a picture. Very nice, very nice. Other than that, but
yeah, he had some real issues, like heavy duty drug issues, and it's amazing that like he lived for as long as he did, because those drug issues didn't clear up until like a few years ago. Yeah. Like, and he died at like 81 or something like that, or like they're not really sure of his birthday, actually, believe it or not. But he was just a really fascinating guy. And The Rock did this great little tribute to him. I don't know if they got clearance from USA Network, because you know the last couple months it's actually really annoying. Like, you know, when the heel does something and the crowd chants, "Hey, hole," you know, like they bleep it out. So it's like hole. It's like, you know, like this like really annoying. It's like, stop muting the crowd. Yeah. Like, you know, like somebody's like sitting there like, "Oh, you know, oh, they said it again. And it like makes this like a weird thing. It's like sensory overload on me. I'm like, They must have made a deal with USA Network tonight, because there were a lot of expletives in this in this segment.
There were a lot of it got bleeped out here in Canada.
Okay.
We heard you're a day one douchebag. That we heard clearly, and that was fine. That was okay. But at one point, The Rock called him, I think, bleeping son of a bitch, whatever it was.
The biggest asshole walking God's green earth.
There you go. That was completely muted.
Yeah.
Because here that it was just muted. So I wasn't very good at reading lips. So I had to follow the report and see what he had said. But yeah,
completely uncensored here on the USA Network, at least.
Yeah. No, here on TSN it was completely muted except for the day one douchebag. What did, kind of jumping the gun, but excluding up until the point where that final line that he said, or he asked the crowd, what did you think of the segment itself, Mike? You enjoyed it?
That was fun. It's typical Rock stuff. I've seen him do this promo with Rusev a couple years ago. I've seen him do it with I think he did it with like La Resistance in like 2004. Yeah. He does these things and he does them well. Like this is all you need is just a heel going out there and healing on the crowd. That's all. Like in this case, he's healing on the crowd and the country. Which is double. But he'll like, this is tailor-made stuff. You get a guy out there like Jinder Mahal, who, yes, he is a former WWE champion. It's not a lie, but they've done absolutely nothing with him for years, and he's in this, managing this nothing tag team into share that they obviously don't believe in. They put them in that tag team turmoil match about a month ago, and they were in and out in 2 seconds. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep trying with Veer Mahan. Remember all those promos? Veer is coming. Then he came, then he left.
Yeah.
It's like they've debuted and re-debuted and taken away this guy way too many times. I think you got to cut bait at this point. Jinder Mahal is the biggest part of their act, I guess. Like an act that really isn't an act. They just kind of exist. So he's doing nothing. Like, Jinder Mahal loses nothing in this. In fact, it only helps him, gives him TV time. He's part of a moment. He'll be the background character in a video that will probably do about a couple million views on WWE's social media networks. Of course, on their accounts. So, like that's better than him being on Main Event with Indus Sher. Like I think that's huge. That's good for him. And it seemed like it was just like just a fun Rock segment. Okay, it's day one. We're kick 2024 off right. They had The Rock on SmackDown 2 months ago. Put him on Raw. Make the USA Network executives happy and call it a day. No. They kept saying this is a return. This is a WWE champion returning, and he gave you something that he can come back on. Because at the end of the segment, he goes, "San Diego, I love you. Happy New Year. Tonight, after all this ass kicking, I'm going out in San Diego. I'm a little hungry, so I'm going to get something to eat. When I go out to eat in San Diego, should The Rock sit in a booth? Should The Rock sit at a bar? Oh, The Rock loves a good bar. Or should The Rock sit at the head of the table?" And everybody knows head of the table is Roman Reigns. That is it. You're talking about the undisputed WWE Universal Champion who's held the title for thousands of days now, 10,000, 11,000, 20,000 days. I don't even know how long it's been. Maybe I think he might have been champion before I was born at this point. I have no clue anymore. I've lost count. They have the number though. They have the number. I think it's like 1,200 something. And the crowd just loses their mind. I think tonight was like the barometer. Are we going to do this match at WrestleMania? Is it worth paying Dwayne the money to come do this match? Is it worth paying that money that is going to make the studios all go because one of their biggest stars is going to go out and probably get injured in a match? And now the insurance, on him is going to go up when they try to get him to star in one of their vehicles. Is it worth it? That pop? What do you think, Roy?
Well, we'll see what everyone else in the chat thinks as well, guys. Let us know, and hello to Jerome and Anthony as well. Look, I
Goosey,
think,
yeah, Goosey's here. Yep.
yeah. Look, I think absolutely The Rock is worth the money. You are talking about the biggest name in Hollywood, if not, let's say, top 5 biggest names in Hollywood, especially with Endeavor and the money WWE has right now. They could afford to pay him. They could pay the insurance. They could pay everything. Absolutely worth it. Imagine the eyes on WrestleMania this year if you have The Rock that's there. And The Rock challenges Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns, who has been champion for 1,218 days, according to Google. I just had to type in how long has Roman Reigns been champion, gave me the answer. I think The Rock is worth it financially speaking. They'll make a ton of money off him, off merchandise, off promotion, off just his social media following. He's like one of the highest followers, most followers on Instagram. That's going to be ridiculous in and of itself. It's worth it financially. Is it worth it in terms of booking? Is the other question, and it's a 2-in-1, right? Essentially, financially, I think it's worth it. Booking, I'm not sure. Mike, what do you think?
So I'm really torn on this. I mean, obviously it's undeniable. The pop. All he had to say was, or should I sit at the head of the table, and everybody lost their minds. Some crusty old wrestling critic like me who's been doing this for 16, 17, 50,000 years. I don't even know how long I've been doing it. Is going to say, I don't see the benefit of a 50. Rock will be 51 or 52 when WrestleMania he'll be 51. He'll be 52 this year, though, in May. I don't see, part of me is like, I don't see the benefit in The Rock getting a title match other than obviously the money, but WrestleMania already sold out. How much more money are you going to get?
I don't know. Make it 3 nights.
It comes in advertising, right? it comes in the advertising. Who are they going to get to sponsor, WrestleMania? I'm sure all their sponsors are locked up, but, this will get, auxiliary sponsorships, with The Rock and everything. And obviously, you cannot beat the mainstream press that The Rock will get, just for wrestling on the show. It's absolutely going to be a happening. It's absolutely going to be a thing. I totally get why they'd want to do it, but it really does upset like a lot of storylines, what happens to Cody Rhodes. Part of me thinks it's like, well, you do the match with The Rock and Roman Reigns this year. Part of me feels like Roman Reigns isn't losing the title this year at all. Like, full stop. I get at WrestleMania 40, everybody wants to believe, oh, it's 40, it's going to be a big round number, and we're going to see the big thing. And no, that's how they keep you guessing. It's like I was convinced that last year was the year for Cody Rhodes, and I was upset at the time. Now I get it. I do understand it. And I was, that was more the fan in me rather than the analyst reacting to that.
That's fine, but
I can't help it.
It's good to be a fan. We're all fans.
I love the product. I love the product. I love wrestling. I don't care. I've been watching it for my basically my entire natural life. I can't help but be a fan sometimes. The other option is, and then maybe they try to keep Cody Rhodes hot. And maybe he's the guy, next year. Maybe they want him to beat Hogan's record, which would come later this year, I think, right?
Yeah. It's tough. It really is tough. The question here is, with the rumors of Roman stepping away, does it make sense for The Rock to be the guy?
No,
I don't think it doesn't. Absolutely not.
Absolutely no. If that was actually the case, this is totally wrong. Totally wrong.
I agree. I absolutely, completely agree with that. The thing is, going back to what you mentioned, Mike, is if we have this match and presumably you think Roman wins, how do you keep people still invested in Roman for another year? And more importantly, if Cody is the guy to get the belt off him, you got to keep Cody red hot for another full year and have that story still going.
And I actually think that Cody right now is as hot as he's ever been. And actually, I think that this year he's
sense.
in even better position than he was the year before, because the year before it was just like, he debuted at the WrestleMania the year before that and had this great run with Seth Rollins, gets injured, talks about the story, the night after WrestleMania. Beautiful story, great promo. I still remember it. I also still remember that awkward camera angle where he was stuck and there was just Cody Rhodes' head for a little bit. That was really weird. But he gets injured, and then he comes back, 30th spot in the Rumble, wins the Rumble, just sails right to WrestleMania. It's like, okay, he's going to win. It didn't feel like, you wanted it to happen just because you're like, everybody's on Reigns overload. You're just burned out by the title reign. But in hindsight, it's like, he really wasn't ready. It was just like, you wanted it to be. But they would have turned on, I really believe they would have turned on Cody Rhodes very quickly. But now it's like, you keep letting him do his thing, chip away. Now he's going through the trials, of getting back to the top. Have him go through Brock Lesnar, have him battle the Judgment Day, have him go through Nakamura. This great American face versus the foreign heel. It's like classic wrestling stuff. And it all seemed like it was building. And they also had that great confrontation. I forget what show it was on, but Rhodes did confront Roman Reigns on a I think it was on a SmackDown.
Was it on the ramp? On
the ramp. They stared at each other. Yeah. Yep. Yes. It was when he was tag champions with Jey Uso.
There you go. That's it. I was on SmackDown. It was on SmackDown.
Yeah. And that was like, ooh, wow. Like we're going to do it again at WrestleMania. Now this is like, what do you do? What do you do with Cody Rhodes? Like, you have him right where you want him to be. Can you hold off for another year? Like, what do you do with him? What do you do with him at this WrestleMania?
But that's that's the other thing. And that if it's not him, if it's not him, if it is The Rock, and to Jerome's point, bring this up, The Rock will generate huge money, and Endeavor at the end of the day, they're really all about numbers and sponsors, right? And that makes a lot of sense. But if it is The Rock and it's not Cody, like you said, what do you do with Cody this WrestleMania? Forget about next year, let's say, where he would eventually win the title. This year, what do you do? Because, you have Seth versus Punk, you have Roman versus, let's say, The Rock. Do you put Cody versus Drew? Do you put Cody going after the Intercontinental Champion in Gunther? Like, it's set up to be Cody Roman.
It's like the Yankees, where it's like every season it's like, well, World Series or bust. So if they basically make the playoffs every year, which most teams, that would be like, oh wow, I'm so happy my team just made it to the playoffs. But like, Yankees fans are so like the worst fan base on the planet. I am a Yankee fan. They are the worst fan base on the planet.
Entitled, of course.
The worst by far. The most god awful fans on earth. You make it to the ALCS. Oh, we got bounced to the ALCS. This team sucks. Fired Brian Cashman. Everybody sucks. It's like, but when you set that goal, World Series or bust, you're going to get a fan base that acts like that. And right now, for Cody Rhodes, it's like, to finish the story, it's like he can't beat Seth Rollins for the made-up world title that they have just because Roman Reigns isn't on TV every week. Like that's a consolation prize. The story that he told the night after WrestleMania is that WWE Championship. He has to have that WWE Championship. My other thought is this the year that they split the belts? Do they do?
That'll be 3 belts.
No. Well, I guess I do understand what you mean, but then you can do a unification. Then you can do unification stuff at like SummerSlam with like get rid of the superfluous world title. Then
I feel like they've invested so much in it, and I don't know. I hate that belt, by the way. I don't think they need it. But I do. I think you need it on Raw, because if Reigns is never going to appear on Raw, Raw needs to have some purpose for the people for you have to have something, for the characters to chase in a simulated sports contest. No, I get that. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But as someone, I'm not saying this because like SmackDown's my show because I recap it. It's really not that, but I know Seth's been champ for what, 6, 7, 8 months now, or whatever it is. Roman's presentation is just different.
Oh
He
yeah.
comes out with the belt. This guy is the this guy is the face of WWE.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not Seth. And
It's not
nothing
even
against
close.
Seth. It's not even close. It's Roman. So, and I
it's
get
also
what
Paul Heyman. It's the
everything. The
entire thing.
bloodline. It's the entrance. It's everything, right? It's all of that. It's the presentation. But for them to have the title, and then a year later, like the World Heavyweight title, then a year later, kind of get rid of it. I don't know. Unless they have Roman's title and they get rid of one of them, so he ends up walking around with just one instead of two. I don't know. But
then it takes away the undisputed, Universal. He's got to be that. So the other option, I suppose, would be to just have him have two title defenses. One, on night one on night two.
But then you'd have 3 champions, and then what? You have, let's say, Rock
No,
versus
for
Cody,
both for everything.
I mean,
so it's like. You could do Reigns versus The Rock on night one, have him get through The Rock, and maybe have Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes could go, against, Solo Sikoa or whatever, first night.
I mean, maybe something like they did at WrestleMania 10.
Or they could do a triple threat.
Brett, Yoko, Luger. Yeah, or they could do a triple threat as well. But no, I feel like the triple threat would take away, because the whole point of The Rock being there is really, Rock and Roman, that Samoan dynasty, or who's really the head of the table. Throwing Cody in there, for me, that doesn't make sense for me. Like, I get it, but it doesn't make sense for it to be a triple threat.
Yeah, so maybe, I know. Well, because the story writes itself. Like, The Rock, the cousins, the bloodline, like
that's it.
Their blood, and then it's just like, well, Cody Rhodes is just there because it's like, well, I got to finish my story, man. I got to finish my story. Yeah. It just puts him in a very bad situation.
It does. It really does.
Now, one last thing that somebody said on Twitter that I thought was really interesting, or X, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Is that, why does it have to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Why can't that be the Australia match?
At the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
I don't, and I know it's in Australia, and if they do this, if they do end up having Rock versus Roman at the Elimination Chamber in Australia, then for me, that sets the tone that, as a fan, I'm expecting to see like massive matches outside of WrestleMania and Rumble and SummerSlam. Like, they'd really be pushing like all their pay-per-views or all their premium live events.
Look what they're doing with Raw every week. It's just like we're getting quality matches and quality storytelling every week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Andrews wrote in the chat, he said, or the Royal Rumble. My question about all of this, and why I don't think it's going to be the Rumble, is how much is The Rock, how much is Dwayne Johnson in ring shape right now?
Honest to God, I'm not even kidding. I swear to you, when he hit that spine buster,
you saw that as well.
Up, he had a look on his face. He's like, "Oh shit!"
You saw that.
I thought he hurt himself on the spine buster.
Yeah, I thought that too.
It's like one thing, like I mean, this guy exercises like a fiend. He's had a history of muscle issues. I think that's really what played a role in the end of his pro football career was muscle issues. Early in his career, when he was Rocky Maivia, I mean, he had the knee injury and stuff like that, but he also there were times I think he tore his pec at one point. Like he's, and obviously the big catastrophic injury at WrestleMania 29 where he basically ripped off his entire abdominal wall from the base. He also tore his hamstring at WrestleMania 28 against John Cena in Miami. And that was basically 2013. WrestleMania 29 was the last match that he had. He has not had a match since then. If you don't count that 10-second farce against Eric Rowan, that's not a match.
But that's the thing. That's the thing.
It's a lot of pressure to put on a 51-year-old guy.
Yeah.
And he works out like a fiend. It's like one thing to be like, oh, I'm in good movie shape versus I'm in good athletic shape.
Athletic shape, of course.
It's like, when you're toning up and trying to get as shredded as possible, that's not what athletes do.
No.
They're on a whole different training regimen.
You could tell just by tonight. And I love The Rock. I love Dwayne Johnson, so I'm not trying to hate on him. And this is normal. He's not as limber. And even though all he did was like essentially a spine buster and people's elbow, you could tell he wasn't moving the same way he did even 10 years ago.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is normal for a 51-year-old, right?
100%. Nothing against him.
No, absolutely not. It's completely. Look, he could kill me, and he's way better than me. So I'm not talking shit, but it's just a thing of, are you really going to put all your eggs into this basket? Someone wrote in the chat, the promos itself between Rock and Roman or Rock and Heyman or whatever, that would be gold. That would be top tier. But the match itself might stink up. Like if we thought, and I love The Undertaker, like massive. But if we thought The Undertaker versus Roman stunk up the joint, Rock and Roman could be just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, I know. It's well, of course it depends on how they plot it out, and there have been things that have happened in the last year even that I was like, oh god, this is how they're going to do a singles match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, and then they knock it out of the park. It's like, basically I think if you approach The Rock as less of a wrestler and more of like a celebrity in a wrestling match, you can have a good match. But I think he's going to want to be like, oh, I came up through Memphis and I want to, I still want to do my Rock stuff. It's like, I think they got to really go like the, if they're going to do it, celebrity wrestling match, like protect at all costs and don't let him do too much where he's going to get hurt. Yeah. I think the studios would want that too. But again, what do you do with Cody Rhodes, who's been red hot, who tonight, by far on the show, other than The Rock, got the biggest reaction.
Oh yeah, I could give you 3 letters, but it probably won't happen. MJF. That'll be like the only. If it's, let's be honest, if it's not Roman, sure, it could be MJF. But we all know MJF is. I mean, at this point, probably same with AEW. But I don't know. What do you do? I don't know. I don't think a triple threat works.
Hey, you know what? Like, CM Punk coming in upset a lot of storylines too, and it's like, obviously I think he is a real heavy favorite to win the Royal Rumble unless it's The Rock that wins the Rumble. But that again, that I was like, well, I guess maybe they'll do back-to-back years with Cody Rhodes, but
they could. The good thing that they have going for them is the fact that if you have, let's say, Punk win the Rumble, well, because there's that second belt now, you could have that Elimination Chamber match where the winner goes on to WrestleMania, right? That helps. Right. But now it's the fact that you're throwing The Rock in there. That's a monkey wrench.
Yeah.
And, what do you do? I don't know. And, someone wrote it in the chat earlier. Are we really going to build up the internet talk build-up of Rock versus Roman to have it on a B pay-per-view, so to speak?
I think so that right there, that mentality, I think people have got to get rid of that. I talked about this. I remember, I can actually remember back, a month ago when we talked on the Survivor Series post show about there no longer being a buffer match. No more of that. Oh, we got to do the cool down match now. Because Vince is gone. That's like a Vince logic thing. But like the one thing I'll never knock AEW on is their shows really are beautifully built. They are stacked so nicely. I don't know how Tony Khan does it, but really he takes like, okay, this match this is a good match. We'll start with this, and then we'll build on this. Oh, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do. And it works every time. And it's like, you have Dave Meltzer, who's like, creaming himself like on every single match, rating them. Oh, I know I've had this 5-star thing for 40 years, but now I'm going to add 6 because that was better than anything that's ever happened in wrestling history. And that's like the 7th match of a 12-match card. And then the next one's 6 1/4. I'm exaggerating, of course, but like their build, all the experts agree that like every match just builds on the last one. And it's not like then the crowd doesn't die. Like they're going along with it. So this idea of B pay-per-views, Backlash, sure, B pay-per-view last year. I thought for my money, I think Backlash was the best pay-per-view that they did last year. And I love WrestleMania. WrestleMania night 1 might have been just the first night. Just take that night. One of the best WrestleManias of all time.
Yeah. Certainly.
One of the best WrestleManias of all time. So let's remove WrestleMania then. Because I thought that the entire package, the entire 2 nights, even though I was lit up about Cody Rhodes not winning and I thought it was the wrong move at the time, hindsight I can, and I can admit when I'm wrong too. I'm not a coward. Best WrestleManias of all time. Everything else, Backlash, every other pay-per-view. And I love the Royal Rumble. I thought the Rumble was phenomenal. I thought Elimination Chamber was phenomenal. Backlash was by far the best show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That camera shot when Bad Bunny made his entrance.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, my God. That ramp was so freaking cool. That drone shot into the arena. I only watched the show once. I remember all these things. They're like embedded in my mind. Yeah. That's how good it was.
No, I agree. No. I was just gonna say I agree. I was at the Elimination Chamber, so the whole Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, like that was incredible at the arena, being at the Bell Center. That was crazy. But watching Backlash from home, that was better. It was a better pay-per-view. It was a better pay-per-view. And I agree what you're saying, and Jerome's saying it as well. Or Andrew, I can't remember, in the chat, it's like, hey, Endeavor, WWE, whatever, they want to make every premium live event a big one. Right?
Yeah.
It's no longer.
And of course, it means money for them. It means advertising. But, UFC wants to also put on the best card because they want to also make their fans happy because that's where they're making their money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, like Vince, these last, especially these last, I would say 10 years.
10 years.
Because the Daniel Bryan stuff really started happening in 2013, like all those rumblings, and he was fighting. It was like he was spiting the crowd just for the sake of it after a while, just to prove that, I think I know better than you. It became like this weird battle. Like when you tune in every week, it's like you're not seeing stuff that you like, and you keep waiting for it to get better, and it's just not. I think Endeavor looks at wrestling as we need to obviously our shareholders are supremely important. We have to make sure that everybody's making their dividends and this and that, and everybody's making money. But also we have stakeholders as well, which are our fans. We have to make sure that the stakeholders are also happy. Yeah. Otherwise, none of this gets to happen. And how do we keep them, a happy fan base creates a great buzz, which means more advertising, which means it's that's a no-brainer formula here. Give it your best all the time. If December comes around, why the hell are we phoning it in? We have the money that they pay for Raw on the USA Network doesn't get any less green in December. It's the same money as it is in April and in May.
March, yeah.
So give the same damn effort. Why would you ever phone it in other than laziness?
Yeah, that's very true.
That's what we got.
Yeah,
but look. This is an embarrassment of riches, like this company is red hot. I know they have a plan. I'd love to sit here and say that I have it all figured out. I really don't. No. This is a total mystery. I think it's I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and stay tuned. I think they're going to make the right choice. I really do. I think Cody Rhodes is going to be fine. They're going to figure something out. So somebody made a funny, I think it was Goosey before said, what did they just have Dwayne, guest referee and hold him off until SummerSlam or something like that? You know, it's like, is he going to call it down the line, or is he going to, you know, favor his cousin?
Yeah. And then we somehow get a match, Rock versus Roman at SummerSlam. Right. Roman tells him, you betrayed the family, the bloodline, this, the that, whatever.
Right. And then it's like The Rock versus Roman Reigns with you know, without any title stakes. Which and it gives The Rock more time to finish up his projects and get in shape, and you know, I don't know, like there's a plethora of options there, but WWE is absolutely red hot right now. They you know, they've got guys like Seth Rollins killing it. They got guys like LA Knight killing it. They got guys.
We didn't talk about LA Knight. Jesus, let's talk on SmackDown.
Right.
Sorry, red hot guys.
Right. We got guys like
Jey Uso.
Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. You know, like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. I thought was going to make a comeback tonight, but like, he's just sitting on the sidelines doing whatever.
You got Jey Uso. You have what's his name, Damian Priest with the cash in, the Money in the Bank.
You got Rhea Ripley, one of the biggest superstars. Becky Lynch. You know, like an embarrassment of riches. You know, these are champagne problems. In my opinion.
They absolutely are,
and it's fun to fantasy book it because it's just, you know, like because I'm excited about the product. I just want to know more. You know, you know, I said this earlier tonight, and I want to say it publicly, but like this, I believe, and I thought last year was phenomenal. I think this year's road to WrestleMania will be the absolute best, maybe in history. If not the best since 2001.
Since 17? Yeah, I could see that. Since WrestleMania 17, yeah. This is...
And I think this WrestleMania is going to build up to be one of the best WrestleManias ever.
You know what's crazy? Is imagine if WrestleMania was still one night. And you had everything that they're going to be doing in one night. That would be ridiculous. But... no, it is going to be the best in my opinion. Yeah, at least in the last 20, almost 30 years or so of WrestleMania in terms of the build-up. We don't even know who's going to win the Rumble. Punk?
Right. It could be. Or it could not be. Or it might not be.
The Rock? Do they throw a monkey wrench in there and have somehow Jey Uso win it? You have LA Knight, who's still red hot and still mentions Roman Reigns every single week on SmackDown. Like, that's not over. And he said it. This is not over. So do they have that? Do we get something where we get a cash in beforehand or after that? We don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So you know, like that idea of even the cash in. You know, everybody's like, oh, what about Damian Priest? He has to cash in. I mean, he could cash in on CM Punk and ruin his story. You know, because also don't forget, you know, you also have to make sure CM Punk gets the main event WrestleMania because that's part of his story.
Yeah, you would think that's part of this contract or something as well, of course.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, like that's a stated part of his story. He always wanted. He couldn't believe that the Miz main event to WrestleMania. He didn't. That was like a big sticking point for him. It really was. He was really pissed about that. I don't know. Maybe I would be too. I don't know. But you know, so like there, you got to do all these things. Like you got to. So.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing.
It's going to be awesome.
But see, on that note, and it's true, right? If you have, let's say, whatever it is, you have Cody versus Roman. Or Rock versus Roman, that's a main event. Then you have Seth versus Punk, that's a main event. What do you do with the women? They still have to main event.
No, you don't have to main event the women. Oh yeah, that's what I was also going to say.
Technically, like closing out the show main event. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you do Becky versus Rhea Ripley. I mean, like that's a huge match. That could be a co-main event. You know, that's what they did with Charlotte and Rhea last year.
Yeah, there's a lot, and
it'd be nice to have Becky and Rhea main event, though. I think
that'd be a good one. Yeah, that'd be a good one. And
that'd be really big money. You know, I don't think on SmackDown they have, especially now that Charlotte's gone. I don't think they have the main event talent to. I don't think they have the talent to justify a WrestleMania main event other than just giving it to them because they're women.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I
you know, it's like it should not be. It should be an earned main event. You know, there was a real argument last year, a true argument. Should Rhea and Charlotte have gone on last? They had a great build. The match was phenomenal.
That was night one.
That was night one. They were right. They were the match before the tag match.
Look, had that been the main event, I don't think. I mean, I would not have been disappointed because it was a great match. But I mean, like, a crowning moment.
But you know, like
But
it's different if it's like, oh, it's Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. It's like, well, there is no argument. That tag match obviously goes on last.
Of course.
There it was a real argument. Should we do it? And it's not because it's like, well, we got to have women main event. It's like, no. Is this the main event storyline or is this one the main event storyline?
And look,
ultimately the tag match was the right call. I will say it was the right call. But I'm tired of this whole thing about like, oh, we have to have women, main event this and that. It's like, stop.
Honestly, we're
beyond that now.
I'm going to contradict myself really quickly, and we'll get back on topic. I was all for that tag team match being the main event if it was a different tag team other than Cody and Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
Kevin. I'll say that. Yeah. Sorry, Kevin and Sami Zayn. Sorry, yeah. Kevin and Sami Zayn. Sorry. But anyways, I digress. Back to the point. And dude, let's not forget. I'm not saying she's going to be in the main event, but you still have Jade Cargill. That's still a name that they're building up.
It sure is. It sure is. And they're giving her time to figure her stuff out.
Yeah.
And I think she'll be just fine as well. I don't know. It's just there's so much going. Yeah, I mean, Andrew's reminding me that Bayley versus Io could that's definitely a WrestleMania match.
That could absolutely be one. Yeah, you have that. I mean,
Charlotte. That could be a main event depending on how they build it. I don't discount anything right now.
No.
And I don't know. It's just been so long since WWE's been red hot. It's like I actually honestly I've never experienced it in my entire career with Wrestleview where it's been this hot.
And man, see now that we're talking, I'm just wondering what do they do with LA Knight?
That's great. That's a great question.
What do they do with Drew McIntyre?
And hey, hold on a second here. What about Randy Orton?
Well, he's getting. We forgot when Andrew mentioned it. It's going to be Orton versus Roman at the Rumble.
Is it?
Well, Randy kind of challenged him, and I mean, I guess that's okay. It's going to happen. But yeah, what do you do with Randy at WrestleMania?
I know. That's why this is going to be the best WrestleMania season ever. This is it, my friend.
I'm going to throw this out there. We'll get Jay versus Jimmy. I think we have to.
Oh, for sure.
One's gonna throw the other out at the Rumble.
Baseline, and it could, and then when you do a solo, it's like I don't know, it's good stuff abounding. Now let's keep it in the bloodline. Let's get back to Raw.
Yeah.
They kicked off the show. Number one, I love the way they kicked off the show tonight. I know we already kind of mentioned it, but having Michael Cole and Wade Barrett in the ring, acting like hype men. And just promoting the matches that are going to be on that show tonight was so cool. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, are they doing like an in-ring interview segment to kick off the show? I'm like, why would they do that? No. But then it's just them shouting about like, usually they just do it on commentary and the live crowd just sees like graphics and they're like, yeah, we're gonna see this tonight. They hyped that freaking crowd up and they did a hell of a job with it.
They had the video package as well for Nia and Becky starting the show.
Every match had a video package because these are big matches, so we're going to give them a video package. And it's not like and usually when they give a match a video package, it's like, okay, well this is it for the match. But like this is just one of the matches in a series that we're going to see with Becky Lynch and Nia Jax.
Yeah, one of the things that you guys will see the correlation where I'm going in a sec, but one of the things that I tend to do in my everyday life, or what I learned in my everyday life, is that if I want to show you something, Mike, right? If I want to get you interested in it, well, I have to explain to you, like, what's the benefit? Like, what's in it for you, right? So if I want to get these people invested in freaking Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax, I got to show you guys, this is what's in it for you. Like, what you're in for is a feud dating back 5 years now, where one broke the other person's nose and the other one became popular and the other one got fired or released and now she's back. And it's the whole video package. It made so much sense. And I was actually interested in the match. At this point, I was like, shoot, I want to see what's going to happen here. I want to watch this match. They did a good job.
No, that was the right call. And that got the crowd fired up for this match. And honestly, I was like, meh. I know I probably tweeted out like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I am excited for this match, and I was really interested to see the match without question. I was, but it's like Nia Jax, and I thought, I feel like Becky Lynch, like in some of the promos that Nia Jax was cutting and saying, like, you've been living off that one moment for years now, 6 years. That's all you're about.
Oh boy.
And you've been avoiding me. And I'm like, you know what? There's like a lot of truth to that Becky Lynch really has been kind of living off of like one moment, like that in the WrestleMania match. That's all she's really had. And I feel like she jumped the shark before she got pregnant, and she came back and never really regained her footing. But she was damn red hot tonight. The video package really, really helped. I thought this match was fantastic. And I don't like, and I'm not a big Nia Jax fan.
Same.
But
I thought Becky.
She worked well in this. I thought Becky Lynch was, looked believable against her. I didn't think that, I thought it was ridiculous when she went for the Bexploder. I was just like, that's just goofy. And I was like, and if she hits it at some point, that's even goofier. Yeah. But like, I thought she looked pretty darn believable against her. But like, I love the finish. Nia Jax going over basically going over clean. She punched her right in the face. That was it. Took her out and squashes her. The end.
Yeah. I thought Becky sold very well from the get-go, from the start of the match, and it made that size discrepancy. Like it made that a real thing. You know what I mean? And same as you, the manhandle slam or the rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, off the second rope. I'm like, are they really going to do this? Like, they didn't.
That I would believe more, because all you have to do is like fall back on that. But like for her to actually suplex her is a different story.
Yes.
Totally straight. Totally stupid.
Yeah. But a clean win for Nia. Andrew says, I was shocked Nia went over, as was I, but I'm not angry about it. I'm actually happy.
I was shocked, but you know what? Like, it makes a lot of sense. It's they built the thing so well in the video package. I'm like, this can't be the only time that we see this match, right? Like, we have to see this again.
Yeah.
So obviously put her over clean. Give her something to talk about, because now it's like, like all Becky Lynch ever does is come out and she's like, oh, the man has come back, the blah, 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 blah. And, everybody's like, yay, great. There's been really no trial for Becky Lynch to overcome in a long time. The trial against Trish was like not really a trial. That was just kind of just like, let's just give you something to do, a cool feud with a legend, and we'll just waste your time. And they had a very good match. That steel cage match I thought was one of the best women's matches of the year for WWE. But like, she hasn't really had to overcome anything. I guess like even like overcoming the shoulder injury, she just kind of came back and just was back. Like there hasn't been anything. So this is the first time she's looked vulnerable since having her nose broken. It's been that long, and maybe that's the thing that's been missing, that Vince has been putting her over too strong, and that there hasn't been any. Like every character needs to have like a dip. She's never had a dip. So in a sense, being dipless makes you kind of boring.
It does. No, it does, and
it makes you feel stale because your character's one dimensional after a while.
Yeah. And what didn't help her either, and this is not her fault. It's the women's division for a while was kind of lacking. Like before Rhea really exploded and Bianca got going, it was just like we would have these Becky matches. I was like, okay, well, you knew she was going to go over, right? Her versus whoever. And now that she has a formidable opponent, so to speak, like you said, she's able to get that dip, and her character suddenly becomes more interesting. It's, well, now how is Becky going to come back from this? How is she going to come back in a rematch or whatnot? So I'm still interested in this. I became more interested tonight, and I'm still interested.
And given her a little color at the end too, really, that really put over the punch. I couldn't tell if it was a blood capsule that they used, because she definitely was bleeding. Like, when they showed the replay, she already had the blood on her mouth area before the punch landed. So it's like sometimes they do that. I remember like, Shawn Michaels was really, and I know Paul hates Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels was really, really good at this. Like, where he would take like a catapult into the corner in the ring post, and then he'd come out of the ring post. And when he got taken down for the catapult, that's when he would bleed himself. So sometimes if you catch a replay, he's already bleeding, but as he's going up. Yeah. I was like, maybe they just, did that to make it look like, oh, she got busted open. I couldn't tell. Or maybe she really did seriously like just bite her tongue.
Could be. Yeah, her tongue or her lip or whatever it is. Something.
Where she got a bloody nose. I don't know. Maybe San Diego climate dry. I don't know. It's like, I get nosebleeds in dry temperature too. But
no. One thing, sorry, Mike, before we get to the next part of the show, Roman Reigns tweeted out an emoji of him, just the laughing emoji. That's it. Just a laughing emoji.
I see it. Yep. Ew, I like that.
So we're gonna get. This is not over yet. We have SmackDown New Year's Revolution on Friday. Suddenly we're getting, it's LA Knight and Orton and AJ Styles all gunning for Roman Reigns, and now we could throw in The Rock as well. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting lead up to, forget WrestleMania. It's an interesting lead up to the Royal Rumble. A very, very interesting lead up. I like it
a lot. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, just the old laughing emoji.
Yeah, it's good deal. It's just that. That's all it is.
Good deal.
Simple.
It was funny. It was a funny segment. So hey.
No.
So anyway, getting back to it. We did have a segment with Cody Rhodes, who said that he was expecting more from Shinsuke Nakamura, something more sophisticated. It wasn't clear like what he actually meant by that, but he basically challenges Nakamura to come out. Nakamura appears on the Titantron. I got to tell you, I love this this presentation of Nakamura with the comic book drawings and stuff like that. It's really, really sharp, well put together, and spinning the poison mist in the camera. They have done a great job of turning him around as well.
Yeah, and they're protecting him by doing that.
I'll give Vince credit. Vince got him started with Seth Rollins and Triple H, and took the ball and turned him into like this dastardly, classic stuff. Like do the subtitled promos, the poison mist, and he's even got the whole thing where I love that. It's just so good, freaking good. Yeah. So they're going to do this match next week, and I don't think next week is the end of this feud either.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. And on that note, actually, Andrew's bringing up a comment. He said, "Are we getting a gimmick match between the two at one of the PLEs, or is it just the house shows?" Because they are getting was it the bull rope match? The stipulation.
Yes, bull rope. Yep,
bull rope. So there has to be a reason they're doing that.
I think we're definitely doing a bull rope match. He's got that's his father's signature. That was his father's signature match.
That's it. So
that's Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Do we get that at the Rumble?
I don't know if we get that at the Rumble or if we get that at Elimination Chamber or.
And again, this goes back to if Cody doesn't win if Cody doesn't win the Rumble, how does he get the main event at WrestleMania if he's not in the Chamber match? Or
a bunkhouse match. Oh, I like that one too. Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's a lot you can do, especially and everything's open because Vince is gone. You don't have to worry about him being like, "Oh, what the hell's a bunkhouse match? Screw that."
That's an NWA thing. We don't do that over here.
We don't do that. We don't do 80s heel crap here anymore. Damn it.
No. It's. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Even with this, and we spoke about Shinsuke before, and whether it was on Raw or when he was on SmackDown, sort of like they don't know what to do with him, and this has been the case with him since Rick Boogs got injured at that WrestleMania, and then had him attack him.
Yes.
For a while, Nakamura was just there, right? But now I'm glad, like they had that feud with Seth, right now with Cody. My main thing with him, and this might happen next week, is they have to get him to win a match, and a big match as well, right? Like you're presenting him well, but he's not winning anything. So
true. He did have that fun short little series against Ricochet, which I thought was actually good for him. But I mean, beating Ricochet is like,
Yeah.
I would actually like to see him even go over on Cody.
That'd be nice. Have him go over on Cody next week on Raw, and then maybe at the Rumble you have a match, or if they could somehow take it till February for the Elimination Chamber, who knows?
A lot of options. Now we're going to talk about this, and this is actually a really important one. It was almost like this is the only downer of the night, but really it shows just how different of a company that WWE is, from where they were a couple years ago, or even like the complaints of CM Punk when he was leaving is that, like I was concussed and they kept making me go, and then I got sick and they put me on a Z-Pack and they, just like they wanted me to go. I got my eye, I got something done with my eyes and they were like, well, when can you come back? His knee, his hip was dislocated, like all this stuff. And they just kept making him wrestle. Just keep going, keep making us money. And not that Giovanni Vinci's making them a ton of money, but, I think if this was any superstar, this is the same result. We had a match with Kofi Kingston, who my daughter is still convinced is Kofi Claus. She was talking about Kofi Claus. She's been talking about him for the last 2 weeks. She's obsessed with Kofi Claus. And so when he came out today, she goes, "Oh, it's Kofi Claus." I was like, "Yep, it's Kofi Claus." Yes. So we had Kofi Claus in main event, Jey Uso versus Imperium of Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. They had a match. I mean, it was definitely like gearing up toward the end. We're in the last, definitely the last quarter, but we got through 3/4 of it. And the move right before the big hot tag was a drop kick out of midair. And, Jim Ross used to say, "It ain't ballet."
Yeah.
It ain't ballet. Kofi Kingston drop kicks Giovanni Vinci out of midair. The heel of his boot connected flush with his jaw. And he then took a flat back bump. And, hey, I don't care how padded it is. You're still landing on plywood with just a little foam over it. Yeah. He got rocked. And to the referee's credit, I know that they do concussion training and all that stuff. But like the referee knew immediately that something was off. Like when I saw the replay, you see his arms just kind of go limp for like a second. How the referee caught that in real time, because I watched that in slow mo, and I was like, I see it. The referee saw it real time, responded to it immediately. Kingston makes the hot tag, and the referee immediately steps in front of Jey Uso. This match is over.
That was an on the fly call. I thought it was absolutely 1,000% the right call. They talked about how their doctors are the best, and the health and well-being of their competitors is paramount. And I was like, wow, I mean, like this is a brand new WWE, because, I remember The Miz got speared off of that barricade and got concussed. And it's like, well, I mean, that's the main event of WrestleMania. But I don't know if this happens in the main event of WrestleMania, would they do this? I mean, how far into the match are they? But no, all kidding aside though. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's very, very unfortunate that it happened, as you said, or as GR says. It's not, it ain't ballet. It's not ballet. And these things happen. I mean, we saw Charlotte Flair get injured 2-3 weeks ago now. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not a crazy dive that does it. It's a simple drop kick, right?
Right.
It could be anything. And credit to them, credit to the referee, like you said, for really seeing that right away and calling it and putting an end to it. And Andrew's asking and mentioning in the chat, Jey looked pissed. The first couple of seconds, I thought Jey might have been legitimately pissed because he was giving like a weird side eye. But then at one point, I think when he realized that, okay, no, he's really injured, he's really hurt, I think he kind of cooled off and he realized it. But credit to them. I don't know. I saw that he mentioned that he was fine, or he was better or something.
Yeah. He I just was looking at his thing. It says "sto bene," which I'm fine.
Okay, so there you go. So
yeah,
he's good with that. They might end up playing to it. I don't know. Maybe next week there's a rematch or something happens. But the most important thing is he's fine. He's okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know what? Like, you don't mess around with head injuries. No. At this point, we know way more about head injuries, I think, than we did even 3 years ago. you just don't mess with it. If you think like it happens in football all the time, I can't tell you how many times I've been screwed. And by the way, fantasy football champion as of last night.
There you go. Look at that. As of last night, I like the as of last night.
Yes. It's always good to go to the new year as a winner. It's definitely I recommend being a champion going into any year. But I am. Who do you think you are? I am. Okay. But I got screwed a couple times where it's like, oh my God, this guy's going off, and it's like, concussion protocol out. Doesn't matter how hot the guy is. Last night, I'm watching the Green Bay Packers game, and this kid Reed is killing it. 2 touchdowns. Oh, he got a little, his ribs kind of hurt. He's out. Next person up. That's how it should be in wrestling too. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't have and I know a lot of people are probably thinking like, oh, these wrestlers are so soft. They used to work injured all the time. This was nothing in the 80s. Concussions. I eat them for breakfast. It's like, yeah, look how well it's turned out for some of those guys.
No,
they're not alive anymore. We got to take care of these people now.
It's and they're doing that in every sport, even in soccer, football.
Yeah,
they have a concussion protocol as well. Right. That was recently introduced.
And I would guarantee you that the sponsors want to see this happening too. They don't, the last thing you want, the last thing you want is to sponsor a product, and then 10 years later, some of the people that you were sponsoring have died.
Yeah. No.
From activity that you've sponsored.
Yeah.
So smart, really good stuff. I mean, it was a bummer. It was, and I think that, Jay was kind of giving the stink eye just because it's like, he has, as a character, he has to. He doesn't want to be like, oh my God, he doesn't want to break character, so he just gives him the stink eye. He also, there's a thing that it's the first match of the year for him. He wants to have a good showing, and now he doesn't get to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's some frustration there, some professional, frustration, but overall, WWE 1,000% made the right move there.
Of course. Not even a question.
Love this stuff with R-Truth and the Judgment Day. It's just so much fun, and I want to kind of start getting through the show a little bit here. Not belabor too many points, but R-Truth is so damn funny.
He's ever since he even got Brock Lesnar to break.
Yes,
if you could get Brock Lesnar to break, you're doing something right. And he was hilarious tonight. Hilarious in the tag team match, starting off the match in the other corner, right? In the neutral corner. In the neutral corner side of the ring.
Yeah, he was in the neutral corner. The referee wouldn't let him make the tag. And the whole time Miz is like, come on.
Yeah, and then he tagged himself in.
Off of JD McDonough.
Off of JD and the whole, I'm sorry, I love you, which is, paying homage to Michaels and Flair. It's wrestling. It's professional wrestling, yes, but comedy has kind of, to a certain degree, always been a part of it. And when done well, it works, and this is done very well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like wrestling when it's at its best, and it is like a variety show. And this right here was like the goofy part. It's not like they're doing this with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, where it's like these are the serious guys of the Judgment Day. It's like Dom Mysterio, who's like a caricature of like a heel. He's great. He's really great at the role that he's doing right now. And JD is just JD is the guy that's there to take every pinfall in the Judgment Day matches. That's his role. He's the guy that loses all the time to protect everybody else, of course. Yeah. So you do the stuff with R-Truth. It's not hurting anybody. It's eventually it's going to get to the point where R-Truth is going to do something, and they're going to viciously beat him down when they need to all regroup. And I'm going to be sad when that happens.
I will be too, but I'm looking forward. I think you tweeted about it, saying you think it's going to happen before the Rumble. I think they do something with that during the Rumble match.
It very well could, yeah.
He saves one of them, or they save him, or he eliminates, or something. That's probably going to be a role.
They'll do something where they probably do have some fun stuff maybe planned for the Rumble too, which would be really great. But eventually, Judgment Day will have enough, and they will viciously beat him down, and then R-Truth will be the babyface everybody loves. But I like the reuniting of Awesome Truth. It was like, it's a good callback. Also, another thing I really like, and this kind of like, kind of slipped through the cracks, is that they like house shows happen, and they happen in like this vacuum that they never talk about them on the shows. But like, Miz mentioned, he goes, oh yeah, you talk about my 2023. You ended yours getting your ass kicked all over the country by CM Punk. It's like, oh my God, they just basically said that, like, well, Punk's return match is not really his return match because he's already had a couple on the house shows already. And to even acknowledge it, I was like, that's great. It's almost like these shows mean something now.
Yeah. And now it's getting to the point. Actually, we were kind of discussing this over the weekend because Montreal, WWE was literally about 5 minutes away from where I am at Place Belle in Laval, which is just outside of Montreal. And I was considering going. Like, I'm like, oh, should I go? Should I not go? And then we kind of ran through the card afterwards. I'm like, shoot, I should have gone to that. Like, that was a good show.
Oh, yeah.
And this is December, end of December, where normally you get nothing at house shows. So now by mentioning that, by advertising that during Raw, you're getting people to want to go to live events. Very smart.
100%. That was just like something that like they kind of snuck in there, and I was like, oh wow, cool. Yeah. That's a great move. That's a great freaking move. This women's title match, I didn't think was going to be anything. I'm not really sure of Ivy Nile. I'm not really sure what she's about, what her motivation is, like even how viable of a superstar she is. But damn, they had a pretty decent match. It felt very rehearsed, but they pulled the crowd into it, and Rhea Ripley was great in this, really, really great in making Ivy Nile seem like a legitimate contender.
There were two things that stuck out, and one was the first thing was what you just mentioned, the bumps that Rhea took.
Oh,
she took
beautiful,
them very well. She sold them. She really is the complete package. She's by far head and shoulders above any woman, be it WWE, AEW, not even close. She's tremendous. And something else that I was kind of looking out for to see, and that ended up happening. And let me know, Mike, and guys, let me know in the chat. I really saw Rhea guiding her and really kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Really like just guiding her throughout the match,
keeping her grounded, keeping her calm.
Yeah. You could see that. And Rhea's still young. Like, Rhea has not been in the business for 20 years.
No,
she hasn't been the champ for a year even. And she's the one that's guiding this newcomer. And
she's born on Liliana's birthday, October 11th.
October 11th. There you go.
Yeah, she's 27 years old.
27. Wow. She still has a good 10 years ahead of her.
Easy.
And she showed that maturity and that experience. I didn't know what to expect out of this match, to be honest. At the end of the day, the only thing I did expect was for her to retain. But it was a good match for what it was. It was a good debut.
They went 13 minutes with basically a relatively unknown rookie. Yeah, I know she's not NXT. She's part of the Diamond Mine. No, she's unknown to the real audience.
Yeah,
and they pulled. They got a "This is awesome" chant. It wasn't like a smattering. It was like, "This is awesome." Like it was a good "This is awesome" chant.
Yeah,
and Ivy Nile has a lot to build off of from this loss. This is a very good loss for her because she looked great in it. And Rhea Ripley, of course, continues looking like an absolute superstar. I think, Roy, you hit every single point that I wanted to make about this. You hit the nail on the head every single time. She was brilliant in this, and she is the complete package. Like I was the other day I was actually just on the my Royal Rumble recap from last year. Because when it gets into that season, I'm like, oh, how did I recap last year? Like what did I, like just so I can start getting like my formatting in my mind as well. And I read what I wrote about her, and I was like, she's a superstar.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like I mean, I'm not like Nostradamus on that one. You know, it's like obviously she has all the makings of it, but like, you know, she was going nowhere fast under Vince, and Triple H completely turned her around, and she's absolutely, you know, and so how many people have been squandered over the years under Vince and never got that chance. Thank God that, you know, she was around when Vince was leaving, essentially, so that she could, you know, live up to her potential, because her potential is the sky. That's the limit.
There's no, and I'm really trying to think, and I'm not talking, I mean, the closest you could say is maybe Trish or Lita, or to a certain degree Mickey James, but they were part of that Divas era. But I can't think of a really complete female superstar wrestler, whatever you want to call them, that has the potential that Rhea Ripley has.
Yeah.
I can't. It certainly wasn't the Bellas, that's for sure. I know people love AJ Lee. I don't think it was AJ Lee either. I don't see anyone that has the package that Rhea Ripley has. She has the look. She knows how to talk, good in the ring, knows how to sell. We saw
Becky Lynch came the closest, I think.
That's fair. I could say, yeah, Becky.
But she couldn't sustain it. And that came from being overexposed under Vince as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. I thought about Charlotte, but I think Rhea's just better on the mic than Charlotte. I feel like Charlotte
by far
yells or shouts into the mic.
Charlotte, in many, many ways, I think this injury is the best thing that ever happened to her, because she was getting exposed in a big way this year. After the WrestleMania match, and she left for a little bit and came back, she was not the same person at all. No. Like this is every match that I recapped of Charlotte Flair was the worst Charlotte Flair match I've ever recapped. It was shocking.
I had her on SmackDown, trust me.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Like it was shocking to see the decline. So I hope she goes and, you know, gets healthy and then comes back and 100%, because she had lost it in a big way. I'm gonna go make a bold prediction, say that 2024 might be the best year of Becky Lynch's career.
Wow.
Just based off of what they did with her on day one.
You're really going up on a limb here.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
All right.
Big time.
All right.
I think they're going to give her a reason to live again.
I hope so.
That's what she needs. She really, like, you know, her character worked so well, you know, in 2018 when she was super red hot. And I went to that Evolution show when it was Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. I was also there when she turned heel at SummerSlam 2018. It was a massive pop because people were just like wanting her to do something for so long, and she hadn't done anything. And she had this legitimate chip on her shoulder. It's like, you know, you get her character works best when she has a legitimate edge.
Yes.
Losing to Nia Jax starts giving her an edge again.
It does.
This is good stuff. This is what we want.
Yeah.
What we don't want is to see Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark take on Tegan Nox and Natalya ever again.
The less said about that, the better.
Yeah, I was like, tell me you got your time cut by The Rock without telling me you got your time cut by The Rock.
Oh yeah, we'll probably get something about that.
Yeah, but you know, based on what I saw,
but
they could have cut more time.
Oh yeah. They could have been like, oh, one of them got attacked backstage. We'll have this.
Yes, we'll bring this to you next week. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Main event was fantastic. I don't even know what I could possibly say about it other than it was just a really damn good, solid wrestling match. Nothing crazy storyline coming out of this, but like, you know, Drew McIntyre loses again, and there was some screwery with the Judgment Day and stuff like that. But I really am like, even though there was like no tease of it, like I thought Sami Zayn was going to come back. No Sami Zayn. You know, they've done the Damian Priest tease before and only for him to fail. So that's nothing new. That's nothing earth shattering, but it was just a really, really well wrestled match. It was like when Seth Rollins faced Sami Zayn like a couple months ago. It was like great wrestling match. And that's what else can I ask for in the main event after a 3-hour show? You know, just give me a good wrestling match with a good finish. I thought the finish was great. there's a bunch of near falls that were like, oh my God, I guess they really are changing the title. And then it didn't happen. But like the exciting thing is like, what's the follow-up? And usually like, again, I hate to compare it to Vince, but like, that's what I have to do in the immediacy of his departure once again, is to say that like, under Vince, the follow-up was always like the thing that was like, is there going to be follow-up?
Yeah.
Or is the follow-up just going to suck? Or is it like, what's going to, I think this is going to be a humongous catalyst for like a full blown, no longer is he going to be like, I'm a heel, but like, I'm still holding on some of the vestiges, the counting down and everything, I'm excited to see a full blown heel Drew McIntyre. And I think this could be the impetus of that.
This is, the match itself, I thought was, I can't add more to what you just said, Mike. A solid match, a very good main event. I just have two, not problems with this, and you probably know it, mentioned in the chat. I'm not a fan of Seth Rollins' title run. So I'm just waiting for him to eventually lose it. So that's one. But no, but the main thing, though, is really what are they going to do with Drew? Like that's really the big thing. Does he win the Rumble? Probably not. But you got to get something going with him. I know they're turning him into a heel, and he's pretty much a heel at this point. But you got to get him in a feud where he comes out on top at this point.
For sure.
And that's my worry with him, is that I don't see where that's going to come from.
Yeah, he hasn't done really hardly any winning in well over a year.
The only really big win he got was versus Jay, the Raw before Survivor Series, or two Raws before Survivor Series, in terms of who would get the advantage at War Games. But that aside, he hasn't really gotten many big wins, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I'm a Drew fan. I like him.
It is part of the storyline that he's got to be the bitter guy.
True.
Like that does play into the storyline, but eventually, like he's got to go full blown heel, or something's got to give.
Yes.
So what's it going to be?
Yeah, like he snaps after the Rumble for getting eliminated or losing, and he goes out and injures a bunch of people. Whatever it is, something. You got to have that thing that really sets him off.
Man, that's the thing. It's like it's just so nice to have like characters that have dimensions again. Like there's depth to them, and there's depth to their story arcs. It's not just like black and white. It's like there's gray area. Maybe and there's a huge possibility that McIntyre never becomes a full blown heel. He just is like this like bitter dude that just walks around, and sometimes he does the right thing by going after somebody that everybody hates, and then because they wronged him, and then he goes after somebody that you love because they wronged him. It's like he's like this like kind of like weird Scottish vigilante where like I don't know, but again, it's nice to see some depth in the storytelling here. Like one of the things that I loved about the Attitude Era is that like everybody, top to bottom, didn't matter who the hell you were. You could be Stone Cold Steve Austin, or you could be Kurgan. Everybody had a discernible character, and you knew what the hell they were there for. It's like. Somebody said yesterday in our chat that like Dolph Ziggler's a free agent. I'm like, and they're like, oh, like I wonder what's going to happen with Dolph Ziggler. Is he going to go be a world? I don't care what Dolph Ziggler does. I like him. I thought Nick Nemeth is a phenomenal,
great wrestler.
Great wrestler. He really got like I don't think there's anybody that really understood the enhancement talent portion better than him. He had an ability to make other guys look great and also keep himself over enough to keep doing that.
Yes.
But as in terms of being a character, 15 years that guy was with the company, I never understood what his character's purpose was. That's not his fault. That's just bad storytelling. But
it was a Shawn Michaels ripoff. Like I don't know what it was. Shawn Michaels, Billy Gunn, something.
Yeah. It was like, like there was no like purpose to the character other than just like he's here to show off. I don't know what he's showing off, but like, he's like, and and that's a shame for him that, he was there for 15 years and he was at the end of his career when Triple H was coming in, like when somebody who could actually like give him some dimension, and that's the thing. Like, we talked before about, how many guys were squandered under Vince, that guy would definitely be one of them. But like, what was his character's purpose for 15 years? Nobody knows. I don't know what what the central focus of the Dolph Ziggler character was
at all.
But I can tell you what the central focus of Ivy Nile is. I can tell you what the central focus of even Tegan Knox is, or Ivar.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of, like, you know, even what the hell's her name? The crazy one, Nikki Cross.
Nikki Cross. Okay.
Yeah. I think I kind of get it.
Yeah.
She's completely obsessed with wrestling. I don't know. She's like stares off in the distance. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you know, talking about characters, Andrew mentions him in the chat. AJ Styles even has like a gimmick now. Like there's something, they changed him up as well.
Right.
It's fun to see. And fuck, exactly. What does AJ do going into WrestleMania as well? That's another thing. Who knows?
Good stuff. Well, Roy, this was a blast chatting with you about Raw Day 1. I think, you know, 2024 is going to be just as good as how 2023 ended for WWE. I think this is going to be a hell of a year for the company. It's going to be a hell of a year for us to recap it and talk about it, and for everybody else to watch and listen to. So, Roy, thanks for getting me to do this damn show tonight.
No problem, Mike. No problem. My pleasure. And hopefully we get to do it a bit more often, though I know it's not always easy for sure.
Exactly. But and I thank everybody for tuning in. We didn't really advertise this ahead of time. We just kind of did it.
Wow,
and we appreciate you showing up and chatting with us and sharing your thoughts. You know, like the shows are so much more better when we have, you know, interaction in the chat room from our longtime viewers. So thanks everybody for continuing to show up. We'll catch you on the next one. Don't know when it'll be, but we'll come back as soon as we can, Daniel. I promise you. Okay, I promise. All right, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm Mike Tedesco.
And my name is Roy Nemer. Have a good one, everybody.
He is. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.